Podium right now, we have head coach Dusty May, we have senior guard Bryan Greenlee, we have junior center Vlad Goldin. Start with an opening statement from coach, then we'll go to questions for the student athletes. We have microphones on each side. Just raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. Please give name and affiliation before asking your question. We'll dismiss the student athletes and we'll go to coach questions, but if we can start with an opening statement, coach.
I'd like to express gratitude to this group for taking so many people on a great ride, and we had a lot of great moments today. Credit Northwestern. They're statistically better in almost every facet of the game, and we just weren't at our best, and they made enough plays to win. But credit them, they made them when they needed to.
Questions for the FAU student athletes. Again, raise your hand. We'll start here in the front row on this side.
Brian, JD Delcaseo, FAU University Press. All season, you guys have seen teams hit tough, unassisted shots. Was there anything that could have been executed differently on defense to stop that?
To prevent them from hitting tough shots? I think just maybe trying to disrupt their rhythm a little bit, not let them walk down into shots or just get the same shots over and over. Sometimes you just got to live with them making difficult shots and move on to the next play.
We're going to stay on that same side, stay in the front row.
My question is also for Brian. Robbie Listella with Bleacher Brothers. Brian, how much that stretch there where you hit a couple three-pointers and then you had the and one, how much was it in your head that it could possibly be your last game playing, and were you trying to put the team on your back there at all?
I wasn't really thinking about trying to put the team on my back or it being my last game, potentially. I was just in the moment, to be honest, and trying to create when I saw an opportunity.
We'll go to the other side here, row 3 on the end.
Tom Merriam, AP Radio. For the players, is it particularly disappointing to lose in the first round after you run to the Final Four last year?
Let's start with Vlad, and then we'll go to Brian.
I don't think word is disappointed is the right word, because in this tournament there is like only good teams, and every game is the last, every game is important, and it's like, as we said, the most important game is the next game, so no.
And Brian?
Yeah, I'd have to agree on that. Just appreciative to be able to play, honestly, and both are disappointing. Obviously, last year we accomplished or went farther, so it was more bittersweet, but this one I feel like just hurt a little bit more because it was our last time with this same group. So I don't know if disappointed is the right word, maybe just a little sad, you know. You always think back on what you could have done better and try not to do that because what happened is what happened, but it is what it is.
We're going to come back to this side of the room, back in the front row.
Cameron Priester, Owls 247. Brian, whenever you were checking off the floor, it seemed like you had like kind of smiling a little bit, dapping up some of your teammates. Can you just walk me through those emotions of, you know, coming off the floor for FAU for like last time?
For sure, man. It's just very bittersweet. Obviously, you want to win every game in this tournament, and at that point, we knew that it was over for us. But at the same time, I'm just appreciative of everybody that's in that locker room, from the coaching staff to the players, and I know that at the end of the day, it's bigger than basketball, you know. So I was just expressing my gratitude to everybody, just thanking them for what they gave me these past 4 years that I've been here, and that's pretty much it.
Any more questions for the student athletes? We'll do last two. We'll start on row 3 on the aisle, and then we'll go to last row.
If either player, Jerry Beach, Field Level Media, are you able to kind of capture and appreciate what you guys did the last 2 years, or is it too soon after the fact?
Why don't we start with Vlad, and then we'll go to Brian again.
I think we all appreciate it for what we've done, because we won a lot of games, and I feel like we built something more than just one run or something else. I feel like we've built like great relationship with everybody in the organization. So I think we made more than just a run.
For sure. No, I can sit here and appreciate these past 2 years, especially, but just the whole time I've been here, from building something from the ground up, you know, and of course it's disappointing, but to even make the tournament is something you got to appreciate in itself, because there's a lot of good teams that don't. So it is difficult, but I think all of us in the locker room are appreciative, and we're just kind of talking to each other and just reminiscing a little bit on everything that we've been through together as a group.
Last question for the student athletes, same side, last row.
Curtis Rouser, Slam Magazine. In the landscape of NIL and the transfer portal, y'all returned your whole team other than Michael, who graduated last year. So can you kind of speak to that decision, either one of you? And like, what would you say to student athletes that are considering transferring versus staying and, you know, finishing what they started?
I want to start with Brian and then maybe Vlad.
Could you repeat that question again, please? I'm sorry, I didn't understand it as well.
My fault. Essentially, in the landscape of NIL and people transferring, like every season, y'all return the same team and y'all kept y'all culture intact. So can you kind of like speak to the decision with all the, you know, options out there and NIL, like opportunities to make money? Like what went into that decision, and can you just speak to that?
For sure. I think the relationship that we had as a unit, just the unselfishness that we play with and the togetherness that we have was a huge factor in everybody coming back. And there probably was more NIL money opportunities for players, but just the idea of bringing this same group back that loves playing with each other and trying to do something special again, I feel like was more important than chasing the money, because at the end of the day, the money will find you if you're a good player. So I think that's what was most important for us.
Vlad, anything to add?
I agree with him. It's more than just NIL or something else. We came there for the reason because we loved each other, and that will pay off in the future.
Okay, you guys are excused. We appreciate you taking the time. Okay, we're going to take questions for Coach May. We're going to start here on the aisle in row one.
Thank you. Jim Saturday for FAU Owl's Nest. Dusty, I was watching your face and your expression as you were listening to Bryan and Vlad just now talk about, you know, building something more than just a run. What was going through your mind then?
That they were both transfers here to us. The irony of it, just the irony of that they were asked about sticking it out when they were both transfer-ins.
Stay here, yep, go
Okay.
ahead.
Also, what kind of words did you have with Brooks at the end in the handshake line after the game?
Just pulling for him, proud of him. He plays the game to win, and you know, now that our time's up, he'll be the guy I'm rooting for going forward.
We're going to stay on the aisle. We'll go row three.
Jerry Beach, field level media. You guys are down 9 a few times in the second half. You come back, obviously. Two-part question. Is that kind of your Final Four pedigree paying off there when you come back so late like that? And did it take Northwestern, from your perspective, an extra gear to finish you off in regulation overtime?
Well, they played really well in overtime. They got a couple loose basketballs early and got off to a great start. And then obviously Lamborg made some big plays. We've had that fight in us pretty consistently for the last couple of years. This is the first time we've lost consecutive games in 2 years. It's the first time we've lost by double digits in a long time. So, like I said, credit them. They made the plays, but we just looked like we were a little bit, I guess, out of gas in overtime and emotionally spent. But definitely proud of our effort to claw back in and make a game out of it.
Staying here in front of me, row 5 in the middle. Go ahead.
Jamal Murphy, Bill Roden on Sports. You mentioned a few times that this was kind of a trying season, but you know, looking back on everything, how would you describe this season, you know, from your perspective, and, you know, negative, positive, whatever?
All positive, man. I love those guys. These experiences are what make us us, what make them them. And obviously, do I wish I coached better in the off season and practice preparing the team? Always. I've been doing this 20-some years, and there's never been a year where I didn't, in this season, extremely disappointed that I didn't coach better, and I don't think that I ever will. So very, very proud to be a part of this group. Did we let anyone down? Did we disappoint? I don't think so. We fought, we battled, but did it go our way all the time? No, but it went our way last year most of the time. So that's the randomness of winning, but it was a blast. It was a blast.
We're going to take last 3 questions on this far side, 1, 2, 3 in the front row.
Coach Robbie Listella, BleacherBrothers.com. The message that Nick and Elijah left us with last year after the Final Four was, "We'll be back." What is the message looking like from you to the world, really, as we head into the off season this year? Is it similar, or what is it looking like?
No idea. All intentions now have been with this team, with this group. As we see, though, there's the college basketball is very fluid. Just click on Twitter to see. No idea what's next for anybody in our locker room. I love it at FAU. I love coaching these guys, and that's it.
Coach, JD Del Castillo, FAU University Press. This may be too soon, but how do you plan to navigate the offseason with open head coaching jobs, the portal, and, you know, looking to grow the program with opportunity next season?
One day at a time. We signed a very good high school class at FAU, and all of those decisions are for a later date. I think this time of year in our profession, whether you've been at a place 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, you're either on the hot seat or you're rumored for another job, or your guys are in the port. It is what it is. It's never not going to be fluid. So we'll see what's next. I mean, we'll get everybody back and do our individual meetings and figure out what's next. But right now, I can't speak for anyone in our locker room. We just poured our heart and soul into this team, into this run. And unfortunately for us, we didn't get where we wanted to get to. But life goes on.
This will be the last question for Coach. Go ahead.
Cameron Priester, Owls 247. Coach, you mentioned your guys being sort of like emotionally spent going into that overtime period. So knowing that, what was the message to your guys going into that last period?
Going into overtime, that we still had it in us. We need to find a way. That was the extent of it. Is we needed to rally together and find a way to get some stops, knock down some shots, generate some good possessions, and we weren't able to do that tonight. We turned it over a lot. We didn't rebound well enough, and they made timely shots. But once again, proud of our group for staying together and fighting back when they were against the wall.
Coach, we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.